Hi guys, I'm going to do a video about how I'm going to try to polish out the scratches on this watch that I've just bought and has just arrived today. It's a Seiko 5 stainless steel. Now it's either got Hardlex glass or mineral glass, but I'm not sure. But if you look at that glass, it's well and truly scratched up. I've already given it a bit of a polish with toothpaste and it hasn't done much at all. So I'm going to use wet and dry, different grades, and see if we can bring it up. But you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs, and with with wet and dry, you've got to get underneath those scratches. So you've got to make it worse first, which is always a bit of a worry. Now, I was very lucky with this watch. It's an automatic stainless steel hexagon. I think it's quite a rare Seiko 5. I paid £18 for this. It's date. It's got a bilingual date. It also turns to the English day as well. Seems to be working well. It's in very good condition. There's a couple of pins that need replacing on the clasp. They've used two longer ones and one I managed to break earlier, so I need to replace that, but I've got my box of pins. I'm going to be having a go at that later. But what we want to do today is see if we can get some of these scratches out. As you can see, I mean, look at that. It's absolutely covered in them. Now on the left-hand side, bottom left-hand corner, there's a bit of a chip. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do anything with that. But I'm just hoping I can lift the look at this. And now I don't think this will get them out completely. But if we can lift the look, erase a fair batch of them, then it's going to look better. I have got a Dremel. Well, it's not actually a Dremel. It's a cheapo Dremel, let's say. I've got lots of attachments. But I know that that really heats the watch up by using that. And I haven't got the right grades of paper, I don't think, anyway. I've used it before and it flicks a lot of stuff around and it makes the watch very hot. So with a wet and dry, I will use, obviously, some wet, which I've got some window glass cleaner, which just makes it easier to spray a bit onto the paper. And then we're going to turn this around and we're basically going to use a swirling motion to abrase the glass surface. So what we're going to do, I've got some papers here. This one's new, I've just bought. I've got some older stuff I kind of already had in the garage. And the finest I've got is 1200, which probably isn't enough. But what I do is I just keep working that paper because it will get finer with use anyway. Once the sandpaper kind of comes away, it makes it a finer grade. So we're going to start with a 600, which I've never started with before. I've used an 800, but this 600, I bought this from a very cheap shop. And this was actually it's wet and dry paper. It didn't come with many grades. It was 600 to about 200. So this is the finest it came with. So that's why I went in the garage and found some other bits which I had. So you can hear that is pretty gritty, which seems a little bit worrying. So as I was saying, I pressed stop on the camera. The spray will keep the dust down because I don't want to be breathing in little particles of glass, and it will keep the temperature of the screen down because there's a lot of friction and that really heats up the screen, which could cause problems with the movement underneath. So I'm not really going to show this. I'm going to jump. I'm basically going to be putting on pressure and doing that for a while and check on it. So let's see how we get on with that before we move on to the next grade. So I'm going to be doing this. Hang on. Applying some pressure, swirling motion. As you can see, the window and glass cleaner has coated the glass. The paper's quite wet. And hopefully this 800 is going to get it down. And I can see already, because it's a cheap paper, the grit is coming away. Right, let's keep on for a second. Okay, well that stuff was horrendous. So the 600, the cheap one I bought, was awful. It was just falling to bits, made a total mess. I stuck with it. I used the whole sheet that I had. I've now chucked it away. Had a little bit of a clean up because it was just so much debris. And this is how it looks now. So like I said, you've got to kind of go backwards before you can go forwards. I don't think I'm underneath all the scratches by any means. It wasn't getting hot. Another reason you don't want the screen to get hot is because it can expand in the frame, in the case, and could make it crack. So that's why you want to keep it cool by using some water or glass cleaner. Now it's, yeah, still millions of scratches. Maybe it's slightly smoother. I'm going to go on to the 800 that I've got now, which is a better quality one, and hope that maybe gets under it a little bit more. So let's go on to that one. Where are we? 800. A little piece of 800 here. I haven't got too much of this. We'll give that a go. And see how we get on. I'm keeping the strap out of the way, and I'm just basically doing that. So I'll just pause this and we'll come back after a few minutes. Already, because this paper is better quality, it's not throwing the grit from the paper. We're getting a paste, and with the water that's creating an abrasive paste, I would imagine, as well. Again, using pressure. Now I can do this because the glass is proud of the case a bit, not by much. And it's a stainless steel case, so if it touches the case a little bit around the edges, I can probably polish that anyway. So I'm not too bothered. But obviously, if this was inset, you've got a problem on your hands. You're going to have to be doing it probably with a Dremel. But because this was slightly proud, not by much, I'm just going flat down and doing this. Okay, this is with the 800. I use the two little bits I've got. And we're a long way from good. I mean, it's clouded it even more. The scratches are there. Lots of, I mean, it's absolutely mullered still. But it feels smoother. So when I go to the 1000, hopefully that will improve, and then we get the 1200, improve even more, and then hand polishing. And if it does stay a little bit cloudy, I've got some nano screen protection drops that you pot on, and it leaves like a film. Because here's the thing, when it's a bit cloudy, as soon as you make it a bit wet, see, the cloudiness goes. So my thinking is, with the screen protecting drops that last up to 6 months, you put a couple of drops on, I think you just wipe it across, and it leaves a protective layer, which I'm hoping will act a little bit like the window and glass cleaner I've just put on there, and stop it from looking cloudy. But that hasn't arrived yet, so I'm still waiting for that to come. Because once you dry that, it's going to go back to cloudiness. So let's go to the next grade. We'll go to the 1000. And we will repeat the process on that. Well, after the 1000 grade, we've got a bit of an improvement. It certainly feels smoother. Still got loads of micro scratches. I'm beginning to think this might be Hardlex glass, which is extremely hard. Difficult to get any wear on that glass. I mean, it's amazing how easy it seems to scratch, but when you actually want to remove like the top layer of it, yeah, not easy. So we're only left with a 1200 paper now. Again, with a spot of glass cleaner on, it takes the cloudiness away. You see? So the scratches are worse because of the cloudiness. That's why I'm thinking at the end of the day, if it's still a little bit cloudy, I'm hoping that nano screen protector liquid may do the trick if it can leave a little layer on there which kind of acts like this. Okay, so let's do the 1200 and give that a real good go, because after that I will probably do a hand polish with a bit of whitening toothpaste. Been going at it for a few minutes with the 1200 and it is improving. It's still obviously lots of little scratches, but you can see it looks a bit smoothed off. That's without any moisture on it. As soon as you put a little bit of moisture on it, I guess it fills all the little scratches, doesn't it, with water, and then the light scatters. That's what I'm hoping these nano screen protecting drops might achieve the same result, but permanently, not dry out. But let's keep going on the 1200. I'm just going to keep going and going and going on that before finally giving it a hand polish with some whitening toothpaste. Okay, we've still got loads of scratches. Been going at it for quite a few minutes. I'm pretty much worn that paper down now. So the only thing left for me to do is some hand polishing against a microfiber cloth with a bit of whitening toothpaste. So we'll give that a go. I mean, we've definitely got some improvement. It feels smoother. There's a scratch there which I can almost get my fingernail into. So that's a few, I don't know if you can see that one in the middle there, just underneath my fingernail there. Yeah, well, that's a few microns thick, I think. Deep, I should say. So that's not coming out. But some of these others, although you can see lots of little scratches, to my eye, it's an improvement. If we can get rid of the cloudiness, polish this up a little bit more. And as I said at the beginning, I didn't think we'd ever get them all out. I'm just trying to lift the look of the glass. We're not there yet. And yeah, I mean, there's loads of little ones. But I am tilting that into the light so you can see that. When you're straight on, not so much. So let's give it a bit more of a polish. And I will carry on with this video once I get that nano stuff. I might put that on there as well. So we see how that finishes it off. Once that arrives, hopefully in the next couple of days. Okay, this is some whitening toothpaste. It's not a particularly coarse one, just a cheap one from Lidl's, which should be ideal because you don't want it too coarse. So I've put a bit on there. I'm now going to polish the watch against that. See how we get on. So after a few minutes of rigorous polishing with the toothpaste, it's lifting it. It is lifting it. It's going to be a long process, I think. I'm going to carry on hand polishing this, see if I can get it better. But as you can see, it's better than it was. The wet and dry has, I think, got some of those scratches back. We're not going to get underneath the large ones. I'm hoping this hand polishing with the toothpaste will smooth out some of these smaller ones, so we start to get a bit more of a shine to the glass. We're not there yet, but it's not such a disaster at the moment. I think we're definitely improved on what we started with. Let's carry on for a bit longer. Right, I've been giving it a hand polish using the toothpaste and various cloths. This is just a clean dry cloth, so when I finished using that with the toothpaste, I put this on there. I've been polishing it against that with just a little bit of glass cleaner. I've also hand buffed up the strap, which is coming up quite nicely, although bits have fallen apart, so I need to see if I can fix that. It's missing one pin as well, so I'm going to have to address that. But it's quite a nice clean watch actually. It's come up quite nice. It's all stainless steel. The last Seiko 5 I had was some kind of chrome coated, no, I think it was aluminium, kind of aluminium case. But this one is proper stainless steel by the looks of it. A proper stainless steel strap. So the glass, that's definitely improved. I think I'm going to have to keep at it. And look in the light. There's lots of little micro scratches, but it's not as bad as it was. I think with further polishing it could probably improve. And once that nano screen protecting drops or whatever it is comes, we'll give that a bash, see if that improves it. Because I want to practice it on this one, because I've got my Seiko Chronos, which also had a similar thing. That is Hardlex glass. And I polished up the glass as much as I can, but there's still scratches on it, very similar to this. And I'm hoping these nano liquid will iron out the fogginess. In fact, this one isn't as foggy as the Seiko, the other one. So if I put a bit of that on, give that a go, which is, I'm hoping, yeah, you can see once you've got a film of liquid on there, it looks a lot better. It hides a lot of the scratches. So that's why I'm hoping that stuff might do the same thing. And it lasts for about 6 months apparently. So that could be a viable option to keep the glass looking a bit better. Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. It was worth doing. It's an improvement. We've removed some of the scratches. Front on, it looks pretty good. It's obviously when you tilt it in the light, you're picking up the scratches. But I think I've lifted it. I think with a bit more hard work, a bit more hand polishing, that could even be improved further. Okay, well, I'll tag on a section where we get the drops, and I'll fix this watch strap now, hopefully. Well, that was a bit of a mission. I had to fit a couple of these pins in the clasp because they were sticking out too far. So I've trimmed them back a little bit using the pliers. They're probably not quite the right gauge. They're a little bit thin, but I think they're doing the job. I will carry on polishing up this glass and the strap, see if we can improve it. And once that nano liquid arrives, I will apply some of that and see if that makes a difference. It's not looking too bad for a £16 watch. Or was it £18? I can't remember now. I think it was 16. Let's say 16. Okay, I'll see you when I get the nano liquid. Okay, the nano liquid has arrived. Nano protection. Invisible protection. This bottle is tiny, tiny, tiny bottle. It had this really tough bit of seal that I had to take off. That on top, then you have to peel that off. And it's got like a rubber stopper in it. So I've taken this off just so the video is going to be a bit easier to do with one hand. So this is a watch after some vigorous polishing, and that's about as good as I can get it. There's still some surface scratches, but it's definitely improved on what it was. And while I was watching TV last night, in one hand I had a polishing cloth and this watch, and I was just kept polishing it and polishing it. But it's about as far as I can get. So what we're going to do is wipe the lens over, or the glass over, with an alcoholic lens wipe, which I just happen to have some for glasses. Already opened that. So we'll give that a good wipe over, because apparently that's what you're meant to do first, before applying a couple of drops of the nano material. So we've got that on there. Let's let that dry a bit. So you can see the surface scratches at that angle. Okay. 1 second. Let's carefully apply a couple of drops of this, see where we get. Ooh. I think you can see that it's spreading out. I think that's what it's meant to do. I did look into this slightly. It hasn't come with any instructions, which is great. But I did have a quick look at someone on a YouTube video, and I think that's what you do. You put a couple of drops, and then I think you can kind of wipe it around. But I just want gravity to cover it. So maybe if I tilt this slightly, the left-hand side hasn't covered yet. I guess it's going to be kind of self-leveling. Go to the right, to the left, up and down, make sure the whole glass is covered. And I think that is it. Then it's a matter of waiting for it to dry. Actually, I can see that top right hand corner hasn't, there's still got a void area. If you look at the top right hand corner, let's tilt that down, and hopefully, yeah, I can see it going into place. I've never used this before. I've got no clue. That looks about right. Just having a look around the watch to see if it's uniformly covered the glass, which I think it has. Now the problem is it's sitting on its strap, so it's not completely level. I mean, I didn't think about that before I did this. I thought we'd just put this on and have to smear it around, but as soon as I put this on, I realised that it's just going to cover itself. Now, I don't know how long it takes to dry, but I think it's many hours to get it rock hard, or proper nano covering. I'm being nano, I'm guessing there's microscopic level of atomic cover here. So I'm hoping that that will, like when you varnish wood, is going to leave a kind of clear varnish, I'm guessing, over the lens, which will protect it. But more importantly, in the case of this watch, make some of the scratches disappear. And I can see immediately by looking at it, if it stays like this, apart from those very heavy scratches, look at that. Much improved. A lot of those micro scratches now look like they've disappeared. It's not till you get very low angle you can see a few. Yeah, but that's definitely an improvement. So if that dries off and stays like that, then I think, has that covered all of it? The light isn't playing game. It's been sunny all day long. As soon as I come home to do this, because it's just arrived in the post, it's become cloudy. Maybe that's a good thing, so it's not too glary. I can see what I'm doing a bit better. I think that's covered it. I think, yeah, I can see a little bit, needs to go a little bit into the corner there, so I'll tilt that over. If it's still got some fluidity to it, hopefully it will fill in that gap. Again, I'm not quite sure. I might have to look up how long this takes to go off. I should have researched before I did this. I've come straight home, seen the thing on the doorstep, and while we've still got some light, I thought I'd have a go. In typical bloke fashion, not reading any instructions. Which, anyway, it didn't even come with instructions, but I've not gone back online to research exactly how to do this. But I will, yeah, I'll go back online and just find out how long it takes to cure. So according to the internet, it takes 9 to 12 hours to fully cure. Now this one I bought from eBay, this was a couple of pounds. I did not spend a fortune on this, and I've got enough left to do another couple of watches, I'd imagine, if need be. And I want to do my Seiko, so I won't do that until we see how this one dries off. But if that's successful, then I'm going to do the same thing on my Seiko Chronos, I think it's called. And this has a hardness of 9H plus, whatever that means. So it's some kind of nano coating, which is good for mobile phones. They don't advertise it for watch glasses, but I thought if it's good for mobile phones, perhaps it will protect your watch as well. And more importantly, hide some of these scratches, because as I said before, when you put some water over the screen or on the glass, it makes the scratches disappear, or the minor ones. And that got me thinking, I wonder if we could coat it with something which would do the same job. And lo and behold, I came across nano coatings. So yeah, we're in business. But so far, so good. It's only been a few minutes. If that carries on looking like that, let's go. Now we go straight on. Whoop, you can see that looks very good, nice and clear. It's only when I tilt it at an angle where you pick up the scratches in the light. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's certainly not perfect, but it's a big improvement to what it was when I first got the watch. And for almost zero money, a bit of wet and dry, some elbow grease, some polish, some toothpaste, a couple of quid for this nano business, and I think we might have solved the problem. Well, we'll check tomorrow and see what it looks like. Well, the next day, actually this is a couple of days later, and the nano stuff has cured and is definitely looking much better than it was. So when I tilt it to the angle, yes, you can see some of those smaller scratches, but with that nano covering on, it's camouflaged and it feels nice and smooth. some of the micro scratches have basically disappeared now. Straight on, with a bit of light on it, you can see the worst ones are still there, but this was absolutely covered in scratches. So I would say we've improved the watch probably 70%. There's still 30% left of these heavy scratches, but I think that's pretty much as good as you're going to get. Also, I had really good result with the Seiko. I put the nano liquid on there as well, and this was a very heavily scratched watch, which I'd also given the wet and dry treatment to. And afterwards it had remained quite cloudy, but now I've got the nano liquid on there, it looks a lot clearer. So I'm really pleased with the results on that. I went a little bit heavier on the nano liquid on this one, put quite a big couple of drops on there and let it self-leveled out. Really happy with the results of that. It's really lifted the look. I mean, in the light you can still see those scratches that were there before are still there. The front of this watch was really mullered when I bought it, and I managed to get out most of the scratches, but these deep ones I just can't get underneath. And it had left it a little bit cloudy looking, but after this nano liquid, it's really looking quite sharp now. I'm really happy with that. Anyway, I hope you have success if you do try to use any of these methods to get the watch crystals a bit clearer, a little bit scratch free. I think it's very hard to get all the scratches out, but you can certainly lift the look of the watch with a bit of time and effort and not much cost. Little bottle of that. I think including postage, I think it was about £4.50. It's kind of like a couple of quid and a couple of quid for postage. And there's still enough in there to do another watch, I would say. So I think I can recommend that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.